everybody. It is your girl, you'll even acknowledge Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris. I know it's been a minute since I've uploaded any new material, but I've been panel prostituting. That's my new slang term I came up with. Everybody's been stealing it in the YouTube streets, but basically I've been hopping from panel to panel with other content creators, just supporting, those who have supported me. I know what it's like starting off being a content creator. It's very helpful to your channel when people are willing to, join your panel and introduce you to help you build subscribers. So that's what I've been doing. I've been looking out for people. CoolGen87 just started his channel. For those of you who are looking for cool, comic, collective content, is definitely the man to see. He really, really does great material. He's a new content creator just starting off. So if you're looking for something more new and refreshing, I definitely suggest that you check out CoolGen87. Also Ruby Classic. She also has wonderful content as well. And Poetic Kales. These people, I rock with them dearly. Like I said, I'm all for supporting people that are trying to do something for positive for the Black community. So when you get a chance, just check them out. So with no further ado, what is on today's menu? We're going to be talking about young chicks, these young chicks that get bored easily. I thought it was very imperative that I did this particular content because I'm noticing in the Black community, I've been hearing some of the brothers basically stating that they would rather date a woman that is younger, that hasn't been spoiled, that hasn't been ran through, that basically, is not already a liability, because as we know in the Black community, a lot of these young women, they're under the age of 20 and they already have an excessive amount of baggage, just like these older women that are probably in their 40s or early 50s. So not all young women are young because they gave themselves responsibilities at such a young age. But this is the myth that I've been hearing, that a lot of men would rather date a woman younger. In the words of Jay-Z, if you get her, I think his lyric was, if you get her 30 or older, you can't mold her or control her, something to that degree. And basically, a lot of brothers, they try to stray away from women that are over the age of 30, in many instances over the age of 25, because basically she has already been molded, she has practically been programmed, and especially if she's been one of the ones who have already been ran through, is just like picking up a 40, 50-year-old woman. So a lot of them try to avoid women that are older, or young women who have given themselves grown women responsibilities. And although I could understand the advantages, is that you do um get to catch her while she's fresh before she becomes too spoiled. You have the advantages of programming her and molding her into the type of woman that you want her to be, versus an older woman is already set in her ways. It's harder to break her, it's harder to mold her and control her. So I get the advantages, but at the same token, what a lot of guys are not understanding in this era, young women are not built like they used to be. And I've heard in several instances that men have said, well, it's no different from back in the day. Our grandmothers got married at 13, had kids at 15. I mean, our grandfathers were like 12, 15 years their senior. I mean, we know back in the days, older men have always been known to marry young women and give young women babies. But unlike back then, unlike today, back then, young women were groomed from the age of 6, 7 years old. They were taught how to be nurturers. They were taught how to be catering. I mean, at the age of 5, 6 years old, girls were given dolls. They were given little teacup and sets, and they were basically taught how to be adequate. during such a young age back then. The older women had trained their daughters from a young age, how to be nurturing. Unlike in this day and age, a lot of these young women that are under the age of 23, if their mom is a possum or a retired hood rat or whatever, basically she was not groomed from the start on how to be catering to a man, on how to be of help to a man, if she was not already trained. And this is what's missing today, unlike back then. Back then, at the age of 7, 8 years old, during the 50s and the 60s, um, young women were taught how to cook at the age of 6 or 7. You was in that kitchen. You had to stand in that kitchen and watch your mother season that chicken. You had to watch her wash those dishes, and she gave you little chores to do. She made you cut potatoes. She made that little girl take the raw string beans apart, to remove the beans and the peas out of it. Back then, young girls, we was already basically given the preparation of becoming a wife. That's basically what I'm saying. Big mamas, women back then gave their daughters wifely preparation. We was in that kitchen. We had chores. We had to sweep the kitchen floor. We had to um set the dinner table back then. We had to put the plates, put the utensils, we were taught, they were taught then in that era how to prepare to be someone's wife. All of that is missing. So for all of the guys who have been going with this myth, well, back then isn't no different than today. I mean, young women have always dated older men, but guess what? It was a totally different dynamic. Not only that, um, older men back then, they were given the privilege of having young women to come into their lives with wife potentials, because these young women, like I said, were trained and were taught. So these older men really didn't feel the stress or the burdens that men today are experiencing. Men back then could leave their young wives at home and knew that she was going to, whether she was 16, 17 years old, there was no child molestation laws, there was no registered sex offender. Back then, men did not have the problems they had today. There was no laws or anything that limited them or prevented them from being able to build families with young women. Men were able to leave their homes, and plow on their fields, or take care of their farms, or work in the factories, and knew that while they were working, their young wives was home holding down the fort, cooking, cleaning, bathing the children. She was going to make sure his hot plate was ready. They didn't have a microwave then, but back then, women, it's funny how women back then didn't have half the accessories, half the electronics and technology that we have now. Back then, they didn't have that. But I find it ironic that women were able to accomplish so much more, even though they didn't have all of these fancy gadgets. Like I said, today, when I cook for my husband, he comes home, I always have a habit of putting his plate in the microwave. That way, after he has had his bath and washed up, and he's, has his TV on, that's usually when he likes to eat, when his TV is on. All I have to do is press a couple of buttons on our microwave and reheat his food. Well, back then, women had to use ovens. She had to turn on that oven and put that hot plate in that oven just enough to where, his food would remain hot. So, back then, men did not have that type of stress. He knew that his wife was holding down the fort. He didn't have to worry about her on Insta on Facebook. She's on her smartphone all day, chitting and chatting with young dudes that are probably inboxing her and things of that nature. So men did not have the stress then that they have today. Young women back then were taught that their girlfriends and their friends, their social life was not a priority to put their husbands first. So there was no distractions. Women had the full attention of giving the man their best qualities of being a wife. Men had young women's undivided attention. There was not all of these distractions today, not these young jitterbugs and the neighbor moving in the neighborhood looking good and wearing new Jordans and stuff, to where these young wives are finding these young build the bums appealing, that they're willing to risk their marriage by flirting and messing around with these young, build the bums while their husbands worked. I mean, they didn't have the problems. That's basically what I'm saying. Men did not have the problems with dating younger women unlike today, which brings me to my point that these young women today, it is too much of a risk to pick up a young woman that's under the age of 25 and think you're going to mold her, think you're going to control her, think you're going to program her, and she won't be a challenge to you. I get it. There's a lot of men, they don't want to deal with women their age. Men that's in their 40s and 50s, they don't want to deal with women their age. They feel like older women are already molded. They feel like older women are already set in their ways. They feel like older women are bitchy. They have too much expectations, and I get it. They don't want to deal with the frustrations of trying to control an older woman that is set in their ways, and they don't have the advantage of running game on a woman their age, because that woman has been there and done that just like they have. So she's going to peep and smell right through the bull like a bloodhound. So a lot of men don't want to deal with women their age because they don't want to be challenged. They just want somebody that's going to shut the hell up and do what they say do and make them feel like the king. And I can respect that. Every man has his preference. That is not my job to knock it, but my purpose of doing this content is to make men realize that these young women today are built from a totally different cloth. Okay, so while you're thinking it's more of an advantage, you men today have more of a disadvantage with younger women than y'all could ever imagine, because there is so much worldly influence within society today for women. Even women my age, we're constantly being influenced to a certain degree. That's why women around here getting all type of surgery done to their faces, buying these expensive anti-wrinkle creams. We're trying to fight gravity. We're trying to fight against the grain of Mother Nature. But Mother Nature is going to have her way like any other woman, one way or another. So as I stated, we have a lot of pressures that we're dealing with as full grown women who are experienced, and even we are still being manipulated to a certain degree even with our experience. So these younger women that are under the age of 25, 23, 18, 16, they're going to constantly be influenced, because you have to realize their maturity level is not strong enough to where they cannot easily be manipulated. They have not gone through enough experience in life. They have not been in enough of relationships to know what to take in, what not to take in. They're going to lack those mental abilities because, again, she has not given herself a chance to fully develop into being a woman. And the problem is we have a lot of young women in society today. They are built like women, meaning physically wise, their bodies, their breasts, their hips, their butts are built like women. But behind curtain number two, the brain, the psyche has not caught up with the physical development of their bodies. They're still emotionally underdeveloped, and they're still mentally underdeveloped. And this is where it becomes a headache for older men who rather deal with women that are younger versus women their age. Because, again, these young women, they're not smart enough to know when they're being manipulated. when somebody is taking advantage of them, or somebody is trying to persuade them to do things that they should not be doing as a wife or as a companion. So basically, these young women, they have all these worldly influences. Like I said, we have society with these magazines and making it seem like women who have perfect bodies, are getting all this attention. Then social media came along, which made it worse. We got these insta skank models. We have these fake book models, and all of these things are having a heavy influence on black women. Women really of all colors, but I'm just speaking in general right now pertaining to black women. If it doesn't apply, you don't have to reply. But all of these influences are going to become a distraction for her as a wife, because again, she's young, dumb, and she does not know any better. So while you're thinking that you have the upper hand because you have this young female and you get to give her a long set of rules and you get to tell her what to do, how to do it, you get to tell her how you want your shirts folded, how you want your pants creased, how you want your pork chops seasoned. You have all of these advantages and making her be exactly the way you want her to be. The problem is because you have that advantage to program her or mold her. What makes you think the world and society is not going to do that? One thing about it, if you get with a woman that may be set in her ways, and she may be a little stubborn to you at times, but guess what? Not only is she stubborn to you, she's stubborn to outside influences. Meaning that, yeah, she may be bitchy and may challenge you sometimes, unlike a young female that just laugh and go along with whatever you say. But the problem is, if a woman goes along with everything you say, she's going to go along with what anybody else says. You know what I mean? You want a woman that has her own mind. It may be cute at first, you having this woman that you can program a mold. But the problem is, it's going to come a point when she's going to need to use her own goddamn brain. You, her husband, her master, or whatever you want to be to her, you're not going to always be around to teach her right from wrong. So it's going to be time. She's going to have to be her own woman. And if you start off programming a young female and it just be your woman and doing what you say, and you're in a position where you can't tell her what to do because you out of town or you on a job, but you have to make a quick critical decision, and you're not there, and she can't reach out to you and on your in receiving your guidance. You need this woman to have her own mind, because if she doesn't, it's going to create problems for you in the long run. And this is why I'm stating that, there's so much that comes with dealing with younger women, other than the fact that, again, you get to program her and mold her, and she makes you feel alive, because you have these beautiful young tenderoni that looks like eye candy on your arms. And not only that, she's making you feel like um the king of the jungle in the bedroom, because she's doing all these new school sexual positions on you that Sister Betty can't do, because Sister Betty is taking her Medicaid and has to her on Medicaid and taking her medicine, and has to use icy hot on her knees caps. She can't do all these acrobatic positions like this young chick can do, but these young chicks, it's a lot that comes with them as well. And I wish people would be more I wish, some men would be more honest and transparent. And I wish these young women would be more honest too, and not make these older men believe that they just love being only their woman and catering to them, because behind closed doors, a lot of these young women are getting bored with these older men very, very easily. And if not right in the beginning, sooner or later, as she gets older, she's going to lose interest. I mean, look at what happened to your boy Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, he got with his wife really, really, really young. It's a major significant age difference between the both of them. And granted, she had all his babies, and she had been with him for many, many, many years. Um, and she was with him through a large percentage of her youth, and even though she stayed married to him for a long time when he least expected it, because he had control all of those years, and he was the one running everything because she was young and dumb and didn't know any better. That gave him a big advantage. But as she got older, the tables turned again, because it's this outside influential forces. Doesn't matter how much you program a woman and got her thinking that, because you got her young, you got so much an advantage, to tell her what to do and make her a slave or make her your maid or whatever. Sooner or later she's going to outgrow that. She's not going to be that same little girl that you're used to her being. She's not going to be that same little girl that you've always programmed, that you've always had the advantage in, and bossing around and regulating and telling what to do. As you're getting older, realize she's still getting younger. Okay? You know, as I stated, that's what happened with Scottie Pippen. She was married, she got married to him in 1997. She has 4 children with him, 3 boys and 1 girl. And basically, she had benefited being with Scottie Pippen all of those years. They had broke up for a split time when the rumor came out about her hanging out with rapper Future at his crib. They were supposed to officially end it, when paparazzi got a hold of it. He was supposed to throw in the towel and let her go then, after she disgraced him and embarrassed him. And he decided to keep her anyway, even after she humiliated him and embarrassed him. And they decided to not call it quits. And they, threw off the $120 million divorce. And sure enough, she agreed to call the divorce off just so she could be the one to call the divorce off. Because see, originally, with the first time they called the divorce was going to be called off was because he was the one who initiated. So what she did was she got smart and pleaded with him or whatever. And once he gave in, then she turned around and called it off. The sources here says the couple had been married for 19 years. In 2016, he was the one who filed for divorce, and for the reason she was caught with Future. But then, like I said, they decided to work it out, and they moved back to Miami, and they were seen getting back together, being one happy family. And sure enough, she played it to her advantage. Once she got him to agree and give in, she dropped the ball on him. So now I don't think the divorce is officially settled. But I know there is going to come to that. I'm sure, being that he has all of these millions, is not going to be a cut and dry type of thing, which is probably why it's taking a minute for the divorce to actually happen right away, because there's so much involved. The more that's involved, the longer divorce is. The less assets and the less time you and the person was married, the easier the divorce. So but either way, we know Scottie Pippen is a legend. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to make or break him or whatever. And ironically, I just found out recently he's already dating someone else right now. He's dating someone, and of course, she's another pretty Caucasian snow bunny. And I'm like, dude, you have not learned from the last time, you know what I mean? I mean, you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's this snow bunny. It's not going to be no different. She's going to get tired of you. You have to realize, older men, how these young women think. Um, and Larsa did an interview. She told she told one of those radio hosts. She basically was very blunt. She said he was boring. He was boring. And me being just a regular woman, I don't have no goddamn connections whatsoever. But I could look at Scottie Pippen and tell he's boring as hell. I mean, having a man with millions and billions, I'm sure that's great and that's wonderful. But you can kind of look at him and tell dude is boring. He's a lame-o. He's rich. He's successful, but he just strikes me as the type of dude y'all would both be sitting in the living room just watching him watch all the new NBA playoffs, and he just looks like he just will probably sit there with a remote in his hand and probably drink a glass of Moscato, look like he just looks like he's a bore. He looks boring. And I don't knock him for being boring because I get it. He's an older man. Scotty is, how old is Scotty? I'm gonna find out how old Scottie Pippen is. But he's at this age, he's supposed to be a little boring, I suppose, because okay, he's 53. And she's 45. Okay, it's like, oh, 8, 9 years. Okay, ain't that too much of a difference. But anyway, yeah, but he's supposed to be a little boring. I mean, he done traveled, he done been everywhere, he done been all over the world. And I heard I believe he has other children from other marriages. Not I don't know if he's been married before, but I know he has other children. So at this age, he's supposed to be kind of on the born side a little bit. I mean, it would have been more suitable for him to be with a woman his age. And I don't mean she had to be 53 and look 53. You have some 53-year-old women that really, really take great care of themselves in top fit shape. I mean, she doesn't have to like somebody that goes to Bible study every Wednesday. You know what I mean? There's some 53-year-old women that really got nice bodies. I look at Holly Berry. It's a lot of women out here that look very good. Mariah Carey. I don't think she's in her 50s though, but you get what I'm saying. Vivica Fox. I mean, some beautiful women out there for the age. But my thing is, they would have been more receptive to him because they already been there and done that. They could have dealt with the boringness because what older women do, they're smart enough to just go live their own life while they're in their marriage. They'll go play bingo with their girlfriends. They'll go on cruises with their little girlfriends. They learn how to mellow out and blend in. But these young females, these young women, they want attention all the time. They don't know how to have their own life, even though they're married to an older man who has settled down. He's not really all into going places and doing that. They don't know how to balance that. They're like little chihuahuas. They constantly looking for attention. And I just personally think she said it. It's nothing to think about. She said she was bored with him. Because again, it's so many dynamics that a lot of these older men don't understand. So we already know he was boring as far probably like he probably really didn't care to go to many places. Probably except to the grocery store so he could get himself some Old Spice or something like that. He probably liked going out to eat and dining out places. But hell, I'm sure because he has money, they probably do stuff like that all the time. And that's the thing. And man that constantly has money, it's easy to get bored with them at some point because you get used to them spoiling you, spending money on you, and taking you so many places. So if there's not any love in it, and it's only about money, eventually you will get bored with them because what happens is if love is in it, love will help you to get past the boring moments. But when you have a marriage or a relationship based on money, and eventually money is not going to be enough to keep the relationship or the marriage stimulated. You have to have something more meaningful because after a while, it doesn't matter how many restaurants y'all dine at, doesn't matter how many cruises y'all go on, how many countries and states y'all travel. If there's not a connection and if there's not any love there, you will get tired. You will get irritated just being in the presence of that person because there's nothing else there to keep the connection or the marriage solid other than the freaking money. Now, what I'm saying is he has been married twice. So he was married to another woman from 1988 to 1990. And he did have a son from her. And he had plenty of children. Now that's one thing that young women know how to do. Young women know how to keep being impregnated. Young women, they are professionals at that. If you can't get a young woman to do anything else, she will always have fresh fertilized eggs. She will have more fresh eggs than the damn dairy at your local Walmart. Okay, so that part, we know younger women, if you're an older man and you want to have a bunch of children, younger women are right up your alley. If you don't want an older woman because she's barren or she can't produce children anymore, and you really want a lot of kids and it's not out your system to not want any children, then a younger woman may be great for you because they know how to lay more eggs than the chicken at the local farm. So that's one thing you will always get out of a younger woman. And that was the case with Larsa. She had all of his babies, but even then, this is another thing a lot of older men do not understand. Some of these older dudes are very dry as a box of vanilla wafers that's been left out for 3 weeks in the bedroom. Some of these older men, y'all are dry. And not only that, some of y'all are not that attractive in the bedroom. You have to realize you're with a younger woman. Okay, so she's thinking like a little girl. She's not an older woman who has grown with you and who has accepted, okay, um, aging is a part of life. I'm losing hair. His hair is gray. You learn how to embrace each other's changes physically throughout the years of your marriage and your relationship, and you don't allow that to become a problem because you let your maturity and the love you have for one another overpower that. You either learn to embrace it or y'all learn to work on it together. There's older couples who go to the gym and work out and do stuff like that. And but when you're dealing with a young woman, she don't understand that. When she sees you have wrinkles in certain areas, it becomes a turn off to her. And you think because of the bedroom, because she's still giving you sex and she may be giving you sexual pleasure and make you feel like king of the jungle, that does not mean she's attracted to you. Some of these young women know that's part in their mind. They feel like that's supposed to be. I'm supposed to give my husband sex because he wants it. And in her mind, she's doing it because he wants it, but she's not attracted to him. She's not appealing to him. I guarantee you, Scottie Pippen, she probably had to close her eyes the majority of the time when her and Scottie Pippen was doing it. I'm sure. She was not attracted to him, but she was smart enough to know that as long as I keep having these babies and keep having kids from him, if push comes to shove and things don't work out, he's gonna have to take care of me. And who wouldn't want babies from a successful man of his status? So she had her reasons, but that don't mean she was into him. She wanted to stay into his bank account. Here it is, this older man. He takes his shirt off. He got wrinkles. He got wrinkles in his balls, his scrotum sack. He got gray hairs on his chest. Some of these young females, they're so, what's the word? They're, I guess the word is naive. They let little things like that just turn them off completely because you got to realize she's thinking like a young woman. And it's these worldly distractions and influences when you see these nice type body young men walking past you in the neighborhood. You see them shooting hoops on the basketball court. On Instagram, you see these nice men, these guys your age with their shirts off, their bodies is cut. Now, understanding, of course, his body gonna be cut because he's still young. Like your young woman, she's gonna look at that and still desire that, and that's the problem. A lot of older men are not understanding. You cannot make a young woman undesire a man their age. It doesn't matter how much money you give her. It doesn't matter how much you wine her and dine her at Red Lobster or Ruth Chris or whatever you do to try to keep your young woman content. She's still going to be attracted to young men her age, especially if she hasn't had a chance to experiment with them. Now, if she's experimented with a few of them and found out, okay, these are no good guys, even though they got nice bodies. My husband is older, but he treats me good. He treats me well. I'm not going to get influenced by these pretty boy unemployed Floyd. But a young woman that has not gotten a chance to experiment and be with and date other younger guys before she got with, George Washington Carver or whatever, she's going to be curious about that. That is going to be appealing to her because she never got a chance to experience with it. And I've heard a lot of men say, if you're going to get a woman that's young, get a younger woman that's inexperienced, that hasn't already been tainted. But that could be an issue because she's never experimented. She's never gained that experience. So she's going to easily be influenced by a young tenderoni with a nice 6-7 pack type body and a big Ninja Turtle package down there. She's going to get easily persuaded and manipulated by that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part you have to be cautious of or whatever. So that's the part you have to be cautious with. But again, because she lacks experience, it's so easy for her to be manipulated. So that's the problem. You might want a younger woman, but if she's not hip to the game, somebody else could game your young woman from up under you. As I stated, these young women, they can lose attraction easily, because you're steady getting older, you're aging, and her lack of maturity is not going to be able to handle that. She's not going to be able to understand it. The other issue is that young women, a lot of them don't have the patience to handle business. My mom actually knew an older guy that used to stay in her neighborhood, and he was at 58, and his wife is every bit in her 30s. She's like 31, 32, and they have had so many children. The children were breeding like guinea pigs, to the point to where he had to make her stop herself because the older he was becoming, the more children she kept producing. Because again, young women, they don't want to stop living their lives just because you old and you don't have grandchildren or children. So he couldn't deprive her of that, but it got a bit too much. So he was able to talk her into getting herself stopped as far as that. But the other issue is, he runs his own business. He has his own contracting business, and she is not business minded. Everything is on him. He cannot confide in her or trust in her to handle any of the business. He pays all the bills. Um, he's being that he's older, his mindset is so far different from hers. He wanted to actually build her a home and put a laundry room within the home because they have a bunch of kids and they need clothes washed and things like that and stuff. And she didn't even want him to add a laundry room to their home, which is something that any woman would love. Like me, I love having my own washer and dryer, my own little laundry room in my home. I don't like going to a washing machine, a place or whatever you call them places, spuds, whatever. And again, her lack of maturity, she didn't want him building a laundry room onto a home that they own. She'd rather take her little sports car or whatever and go, yeah, the laundromat, and go to the laundromat almost 2-3 times out the week, when he could simply just build her a little laundromat inside the house. But that is the mental psyche of a young broad that you have to deal with. So she's costing him money in all kind of ways, to where it could all be avoided if only she had some common sense. Not only that, she does not cook. She does not clean. He hasn't had a home cooked meal since God knows when. He comes home constantly to buckets of KFC, to Burger King, Checkers, Taco Bell, you name it. That's what she does, because in her mind, I got an older man who makes money. Why should I have to cook food when all I got to do is buy food? Now, older woman, on the other hand, ain't about to sit up there and do no KFC and Burger King and all of that no 3-4 days out the week. Eventually, she's gonna want to cook meal. She's gonna want to get down on some greens, some smothered chicken, some macaroni and cheese. An older woman knows that buying all that junk food is not good for her husband, and not only that, it becomes expensive. You eating out 3, 4 times out the week, But young women, they don't see nothing wrong with that. And this is the thing that a lot of older men don't think about. Young women will cost you money, okay? And not only that, they don't know how to handle business. He would get frustrated with her when he would tell her to do something that was business wise. He, want her to drop off paperwork for him for the business. He would want her to get more involved in the business, and she would get irritated. Again, she's a younger woman. She's not thinking about the future. She's thinking about getting her nails done, her hair done. That's all she ever did, and drive her two-seater Mercedes Benz. It was all about parlaying and flexing. Again, because of these worldly distractions, she wants to look good for her young friends that are her age. You know what I mean? She wants to show off and show out and show that her husband bought her this and that. That's the young mind. That's the mind of a young female psyche. Um, Again, she was no help to him. She became more of a burden than a blessing. And that is the catch 22. You want a young woman because she makes you feel like king in king of the jungle in the bedroom. She brings you spunk, she makes you feel more lively, but at the same time she could bring a lot of stress to you because her priorities would never match up to yours. I don't care if you explain it to her in 300 ways. You can make her understand how important it is. You can give her 1,000 examples. She's still not going to get it. And the other issue is she cannot relate to his family because you have to remember, he's an older man. So his sister is older. His parents are older. So when they have family events, it's like bringing his kid's sister there in a sense. She can't hold a conversation with them people. Those people way too experienced and advanced in wisdom and knowledge, and she's like the odd girl out. She can't relate. You can't bring young women in certain type of environments because they'll embarrass you. They don't know what to say, when to say it. They can be very impatient. Well, how long we got to be sitting here at your mama house? Just downright ignorant, selfish at times, because again, she's thinking like a little girl. Um, it's just a lot that comes along with trying to please a young woman. And another thing sexually that I forgot to mention is that in some cases, as men, as you guys become older, your sexual peak tends to decline, depending on your health, depending on the factors that come about your age or whatever. Her prime may be just really going into full force while yours is declining. So you have a young woman who has a high sex drive, and depending on your sex drive at the time while she's going through her prime, you may not sexually be able to please her. You have to realize you're dealing with a young woman is outside influential forces where she's hearing her young girlfriends talk about how Billy really put it on her, and Mike knew how to do this and he knew how to do that. He did all kind of tricks in the bedroom, and here it is, you, Mr. Willie, you doing the same positions that you did back in 1970s. You dealing with a young girl. You're going to have to put some pep in that step. You're going to have to step your game up, and these young women, some of them got demonic ass sex drives to where she wants it all of the time. And if you're an older man and you working, you got a business to handle, you don't have every day and all day to be banging her back out. And by you dealing with a young broad, she's not going to understand that. She's not going to be compassionate to you as an older woman. Hell, it's gonna be time she ain't gonna want to do nothing now. I hear men say that some women, when they get a certain age, they don't give it up as much, and that ruins the spark in the marriage. And I get it. Women, we do become complacent, we do become lazy at times, and that's very true. But be careful what you pray for, because you may get one of those psycho, sexually over sexualized, demonic young broads who will wear you out to the point you would damn near get a stroke trying to please this broad and make her happy sexually. So that's something you got to think about. You 50, 60 years old, and here it is, you got this 30, 40-year old woman, you know what I mean, that you met in your 20s, and she still wants to screw like a porn star. When if your health, when if you start having issues, your health starts declining, and you're not able to perform the same. A woman, the older woman or woman your age, she understands. She'll be more lenient and compassionate, because as you're going through changes, so is she. As we get older as women, our bodies declines. When we experience menopause, when we experience, all of these issues that take place, and changes our sex drive. That's the thing about it. Why you're going through changes as an older man, so is the woman that you're with. So she's going to be more understanding, she's going to be more compassionate, and she's going to be more patient. Okay, but a younger female, on the other hand, they're not going to be as understanding and as patient, because they're still going through that young stage, and where they are very selfish. They are very immature. You're dealing with a lot of childish ass qualities with this type of young female. So that's something you got to be careful about. So, I mean, as far as young women, there are, in some cases, some young women that are very, very mature. And then there are some older women that don't act like they're older. I know some older women that are 40 and 50 and up in the club like they 30 years old. So it's very important that you still, I don't care what woman you deal with, if she's young or older, you check her background, get to meet the woman or the man that raised her. That will let you know a whole lot about what type of female she is based on her upbringing. You may get lucky and meet a woman that's in her 20s and very mature. I was pretty mature for my age. I met my husband when I was 20 years old. I knew at the age of 18, 19 that I wanted to be a wife. I never felt like I was on the same level with my friends. My friends went to party and run the streets. I knew instantly, when I graduated from high school and I partied, I had my little fun. I knew I didn't want to be out there too much longer, just partying and run the streets. I knew that I wanted to be a wife, and it didn't take me long to figure that out. So some young women, and it didn't take me, having 3, 4, 5 kids and being spoiled and ran through for me to figure that out. There are some rare gems. There are some women out there, you may get lucky and catch them at a young age while they have some level of intelligence and maturity, and they're a little bit more easy to deal with. But at the same time, my husband had challenges with me because I was still immature. There was things that I saw other women had, and I would envy that. Well, they got a new house. Why we can't have a new house? They got a new car. Why? It took a lot of challenges, and it took him being patient with me and grooming me, because there's a difference between molding someone and grooming them. When you're molding someone, you're basically trying to make that person be exactly what you want them to be for you. But when you're grooming them, you're teaching that person to be the best that they can be for them, so it will benefit the both of you. So there's a difference in you being a controlling ass man and you being a man that wants to just groom your woman. So just learn how to balance that out so you can get the best of both worlds. You can have the woman you want, but at the same time, that's not taken away from the woman that she is. Okay, so you have to learn how to balance that out. But that's why I wanted to do this content, because I'm always hearing that younger women are easier to deal with, but I'm never hearing the drawback. That a lot of them, you have to know who the hell raised them. A lot of these young girls, they're different now. They're twerking. They're doing cucumber contest. They act womanly and dress womanly, but mature wise, nothing is womanly about them. They still very little girlish. Um, Half of them don't even know where the gas tank is at on the car. Don't even know, just don't know nothing. Don't know how to do anything without you holding them by the hand like they 2 years old. So that's just something you have to kind of think about. So, again, as I stated, everybody wants to highlight um older woman's faults versus a younger woman's faults. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You just got to weigh the pros and the cons. Either way it go, if you deal with a woman that's older, there's going to be things you're going to have to deal with that you may not like. And at the same time, if you're dealing with a younger female, there's going to be things with her that you got to be prepared to deal with, because again, you as a man, you may not mind being in charge. You might want to be in charge all the time because it makes you feel like a man, and you being the king of the castle, um, you want to be the HNIC, you want to be in charge at all times. But what you have to reconsider is the fact that there may come a point when you can't be in charge. God forbid something happens to you. Can you trust this woman to handle your affairs? Can you trust her to do right with the money that you may leave behind in your insurance? Or is she going to mess it all up because she's, taking trips out of Miami and not paying the taxes on your houses and, keeping your company going and things like that? So you have to be careful. Don't just look at short term. She looks good. She's young and she's good eye candy. You got to look at the fact that God forbid you're an older man. You're getting older and older. You need to make sure that you have a woman that has your best interest. That if something happens to you, she's gonna do the right thing. She's gonna do right by you. If you become incompetent, you become wheelchair bound. Is this woman going to take care of you? Is she going to wash your behind? God forbid if you can't wash your own ass, or is she going to be running in the streets, giving up her ass, while miserable, you know what I mean? So, I just thought this was very important content to discuss, because I'm always hearing, guys talk about how they rather get a younger woman. They don't want to get no older woman. Okay, that's fine, but you better know what you're signing up for, because again, this is a new era. This is a new generation. Please stop using the new era and comparing it to the old era. They are not one and the same. I'm hearing people say, well, back in the day, my grandmother, when she was 13, 14, she was married. My grandmother had me when she was 14, 15. You cannot compare the 50s and the 60s to 2019. It's a totally, totally, totally different thing. Okay? That's like trying to compare a baseball, to an apple. They are nowhere in the same category. One is a fruit and one is belongs to sports equipment. They're nowhere on the same level. You cannot use that analogy, because women back then were groomed from little girls how to cater and take care of their families. These young girls now, look at their mamas. Their mamas ain't even wife material. You know what I mean? Some of their mamas ain't even been married. So how they're going to teach their young daughters that you would rather be with how to, cater to you and be a wife to you and be a blessing to you. So I definitely would like to get y'all opinion, y'all feedback on this. Do you necessarily think it's a great idea for a man to just to put his future in the hands of a young woman who is already clearly displaying that she cannot handle business? She won't cook, she won't clean, she's leaving her children on Big Mama. You can't come home to a hard cooked meal. She's not clean. She lets you come home every day to a dirty tub, the refrigerator nasty. I mean, because she's always at the mall. She's too busy swiping your car, spending, shopping, and splurging, not caring that she's putting you in debt, versus an older woman who's set in her ways. But if she's a good older woman and she's humble and allows you to be the man and allows you to lead, but not lead to the point to where she can't use her own mind. I mean, what is your intake on this? I would definitely like to get your perspective on. Do you think it's really, really so much glamour? Is there a lot of glamour in the older man being with a younger woman, especially these days? We're talking about 2019. We're not talking about the 50s and the 60s, okay? There was no social media back then. then. There was no STDs. There was no child support. So let's not use that, okay? Because I hear too many people use that, and you cannot compare the two. It is not going to work. But anyway, I definitely want to get y'all input on this. Also, I'm still trying to work on my baby mama drama webinar course. I'm at least waiting to get 5 ladies. I want to give 5 women advice on being in blended families, dealing with the husbands, baby mama drama, toxic situation. If you're one of those women, and you would like to enroll, it's going to be $25 per woman. Please let me know. I at least want to get 5 ladies on board in order for me to do this, and it's going to be done live, so it's not going to be recorded to where you have to just listen to me talk and you don't get to ask questions. Also, for anybody that's interested in selling, getting cable, I sell cable. Also, 7,000 channels for only $25 a month. That's also with pay-per-view events included. If you are interested, definitely email me at cafe de paris 79 at yahoo.com. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to be getting up out of here. Make sure you hit that notification bell, because I'm going to be doing some more mocha overdose. I haven't been uploading lately, so I'm going to be giving y'all a lot of videos this week. Before you leave, please make sure you hit that like button. It's not going to cost you no money, and it's only taking you a second out of your time. Again, I appreciate all my loyal subscribers. Thank you for still rocking with me. Those of you who have just subscribed, I welcome you to Cafe de Paris family. And if this is your first time here and you like today's content, and if you possibly anybody who wants me to address any new content or any new subjects, and you would like to get my opinion, you're welcome to email me, and I'll be glad to take new suggestions, because sometimes my mind goes blank. I run out of topics and things to talk about. So you're welcome to hit me up and say, hey, could you talk more about marriage? Could you talk more about children? I will be glad to do that, okay? But anyway, y'all, it is your girl, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off with a slice of knowledge. Y'all be blessed. Take care. Bye.